So we really have something for everyone this morning on this Feel Good Morning show. Of course, we had self-defense, we had music, we had great recipes, but now we're talking gardening, and I'm with Mr. Neil Dreyer-Smith. He's talking about wild garlic this morning, which is a great addition to your garden. It's also a great companion plant. Neil, good morning, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good yourself.
Cool, man. Can't complain. Wild garlic, very interesting little plant. Very beautiful looking plant as well.
This time of year, it's a fantastic thing to plant, especially as an edge or a border for your flower beds.
Exactly. So let's talk a bit about this plant, the benefits of having the wild garlic in your garden.
Look, very versatile plant.
Really?
From a culinary point of view, the leaves can be used, cooked as an alternative to spinach. Quite good for adding kind of a peppery taste to a mashed potato.
Yeah.
The flowers also used in salads. The roots are used as well for various medicinal purposes, and interestingly also used as an aphrodisiac.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So from a plant point of view, lots of benefits. People often use them as a border to flower beds to keep moles out of the flower bed.
There we go, hence a good companion plant, like I mentioned.
Exactly, yeah. And also used as a snake repellent, especially the
really? So it's something you would like to include in your garden.
Yeah,
a lot of benefits. So the typical characteristics of this plant, if I want to get to know this plant, as a garden enthusiast, you want to walk into someone else's garden, recognize it and say, oh, I see you've got wild garlic. How would you...
Very easy to recognize. Typical strappy, fleshy leaves.
Right.
If you give the leaves a little bit of a rub or a bit of a crush, you'll get a good, strong garlic smell of them. In fact, you can actually use the leaves as an insect repellent. You can rub it on your skin for keeping the mozzies away and the flies away and things like that. Leaves you smelling a bit garlicky.
Yeah.
The flowers as well, they also have a garlicky smell. So if you picked one off and ate it, you'll definitely pick up like a chivey kind of garlic chive kind of taste. So
you can actually, this edible flower, you can
pick them off, just drop them straight into a salad, use it as a garnish. The leaves can be chopped up and cooked like a spinach.
Yeah.
The characteristics of the plant itself, very drought resistant, so a good Western Cape or summer plant. Got a nice long flowering period, so you're looking at kind of January all the way through to the end of April. You've got a good show of flowers, and when it's mass planted, really striking.
All right, you mentioned a good plant in the Western Cape. Is it strictly for like certain regions of South Africa?
Look, it's very versatile as far as where it can grow. In fact, it grows from the Western Cape right up to Zimbabwe. So you can plant it anywhere. Yeah. From a conditions point of view, you want well-drained soil. It doesn't perform particularly well in clay soil, so the sandier the soil, the better.
All right, so ideally, make sure if you put it in the garden while draining, otherwise in a pot plant or on a pot.
Look, in a pot, it's going to have it's quite a fast-growing shrub, so it's going to have probably 2 or 3 years of looking good, flowering nicely in a pot, but after that, it's going to start getting a little bit tired, and the leaves are going to start getting a little bit burnt.
All right.
So it likes summer moisture, so it's quite hard to keep it happy in a pot.
All right.
Much better in an open flower bed with sandy soil, lots of compost.
All right, and of course, from a keeping the plant happy perspective, in terms of, does it have any diseases that you need to look at? Or
very resilient plant. Not many problems that it has as far as disease goes. The only problem you might have if you haven't got a good layer of mulch on your soil is a bit of slug action, some snails coming in.
All right, and your soil preparation, if you really want this plant to flourish, in terms of nutrients and that kind of thing, what do you need to think about?
Anything that's fast growing likes loads of compost. So keep the soil well mulched and well kind of enriched with good compost or a good additive. And you're going to get really good flowers out of that.
And you mentioned it's a fast grower, so...
Very fast grower.
Grow it from seedlings or from... How do you grow it?
If you're patient, grow it from seedlings. You can also clump plant them and then divide them up. So you can literally take the plant out of the ground, cut it up with a sharp spade, divide it into clumps and actually create a border.
Because I see it's got little, as you see...
Exactly, you can see it's dividing already. So there's probably 4 or 5 plants there that you can divide right now.
Lovely, that's great. Neil, thank you so much for coming through, man. Really interesting little plants, and I know that we can use it in the future in our kitchen as well. Now, next up, we're talking about the Selly one. I want to ask you, Neil, because I heard you're a surfer at Big Bay. You love it, or at Bloberg. So what is your opinion on the Selly one that stranded there a while ago?
Look, from an environmental point of view, obviously, if there's diesel or oil leaking out, it's not great for the environment. But from a surfer's point of view, it's a real shame because it really has created a unique surf spot that, once it's gone, pretty much will dissolve and disappear. So it's... it's a tough one. If the oil wasn't there, I'd say just leave it there because it's very hard to build a surf spot, and once it's gone, you're not going to get it back.
Exactly, and the surfers have been enjoying it since it stranded there in 2009. But Graham recently met up with the authorities to find out exactly what is the plan with the Selly one.